Hello and welcome to what is ultimately kicking off the .22 pellet reviews for race carts rifles. Tonight we're looking at, as you can see, H&N Field Target trophies in .22. Ignore that, that's a mistake. They're actually made by H&N themselves, as far as I'm aware anyway. I did research into who actually makes these, and they seem to be done by like another umbrella company. Called somebody else, I forget the name now. I'll type it in at the bottom. But yeah, they're actually made by a H&N sort of company. They're not, made by JSB. So, I do apologise for that. I've made a slight mistake, and I'm highlighting it as highly as I can so that nobody can have a go at me. Anyway, weight, there is 14.66 grain. As you can see on the tin there, 500 we get on the tin as well. They cost me £9.99 from On Target when I bought my Remington. We all know the story with that. So let's just go straight into it as we usually do, looking at cost, quality, delivery, but starting with the actual tin itself. So the design of it doesn't really shout about what it is, but it's certainly sort of going to catch your eye, I think. I don't think it's so bland that your eye's sort of taken away from it a little bit. Good representation of the pellet, quite clearly labelled what it is. If I hadn't have ripped off the sticker of the price and then put another label on top of that to swap it over so that, I was basically making use of the tin so it didn't spill out in the field. But what I do like is you get quite a lot of information on the front of the tin about these pellets. It gives you an idea of what the precision's like. They're saying it's quite a high precision pellet. It's good for ratting, it's good for shooting crows, sort of pest control stuff. In distance, it goes all the way on the distance, so you shouldn't have an issue there. And rated to about 25 joules, I'm guessing is what it's saying here, which I've never seen on a pellet tin. So lots of information straight away to tell you what these pellets ultimately will do when they go in your rifle. So let's get inside the tin then, as we usually do. Screw thread tin, as you can see, top and bottom, which is something I'm a big fan of because it stops them bursting open. No makeup pad in there, which is, I think, a little bit of a downer, but I expect a little bit more from paying $9.99, to be honest with you. In there, quite clean, or at least it looks quite clean. Nothing really in the corners, so it's not like it's there's bits of dirt and all the rest of them on it, but generally quite well shaped pellets. They're quite thick, quite stout, quite sturdy. I haven't really seen many damaged ones in there, but like I said, definitely lacking tin. You can see I've used quite a few of these recently, going away from it. So let's look at the overall dimensions then. As you can see here, I know, but yes, you can skip ahead and oil these things in, but let's just look at the sort of design of it. So overall length is coming out about what's the mean? The mean is coming out about 6.52 millimeters, so it's actually quite a short pellet. As you can see, it's quite stubby, quite stout. The design of it is, this actually looks drilled, so when you come into the back here, the weight is one of the more balanced ones, if you know what I mean. Like, yes, it's got weight in the head, but the weight doesn't come all the way down to the waist, if you know what I mean. It's got very thick walls on it, which kind of gives it a balance right across the pellet's length when it's flying through the air. So what that does for accuracy, ultimately, once we get a bit more into these reviews and we've done a few more of them, we'll start to work out really what's the best design, whether it's all the way forward or trying to balance it all out, or is there another way. And the radius on the head's sort of normal, really, about 2.75 mil radius, 2.8 in this case. 5.5 millimeter head. The spread of that, or the mean of that, is 5.53 millimeters. You probably can't read that, but that's what that's saying. 2.57. In fact, what I'll do is I'll bring that down now so you can see it and refocus. So there's your mean there of your overall target height, or your pellet height. See if I can make that a bit clearer. There you go. About 5.53, 2.57 for the sort of the skirt length, and then the average weight, which is supposed to be this 14.66 grain, is actually up around 15.15, so a lot heavier on average from the 32 sample that I did than what the tin's advertising. So my comments about this pellet are basically they're a short stubby aerodome. They were good in the RM8 out to 40 yards, but they were terrible in the AR1 at any range, and quite good under a Vulcan, which I managed to get them tested in. So let's just have a quick look at the pellet before we go into cost. That's a picture of the pellet close up. You know, as you can see, it is quite a stubby thing, and like, you know, if you go back to the actual tin there, you'll see that that's actually not too bad representation of it. You know, when we look in the cross section there, you can see a bit better now what it actually looks like. It actually looks like it's drilled, this section here, so it's formed out to a certain point, but then it looks like the actual weighting of it is drilled. That final part, you probably can't see that very well, but you might be able to make out there some like drilling marks, you know, like sort of lines just in this shinier area in the center here, sort of around about basically where. So from about this line here, see if I can make that a bit clearer there on the drawing. Section forward of this laser on the drawing actually looks like it's drilled. That's what I'm trying to put over. Deformation test, the usual one. Go and fire it straight into a hard piece of cardboard. You can see it's proper mullered something there when it's gone through. But deformation wise, as you can see on the head, you know, not too bad in all honesty. But they do keep their shape, and they don't tend to sort of deform as much as what they can. You can actually see the rifling marks on the head as well. I don't know if I can sort of show that to you, but it might not pick it up. Oh, you can sort of see somewhere around about here, you can see a rifling mark there. But yeah, mushroom up, quite a hard pellet I think, in contrast. So cost of this pellet, you know, the usual, just go onto Google, bang it in, pick the top three, but one of them is receipted, so one top basically pick the top two that come out on the internet. So Uttings came out at £9.49, Countryways were doing them for £8.75. Yes, there's delivery charges on there, but I bought these by going into a shop, so I'm going to assume that I'd do the same with these if I lived in that area, kind of thing. So it's just to get a rough idea of what the price tags on these are. So the main cost, it comes out at £9.42, so you know, pretty run-of-the-mill price really. I'd say actually for 2.2 that's probably quite cheap, because generally I think most air arms are up around the £12-13 mark for 500. So delivery, you can see there's the groups, that's what it actually scored. I know you'll have seen that already, but we'll actually have a look at this target. So basically, yeah, 3 14mm groups, which is, I've never had so much consistency from a target. So as usual, you know, we've gone to as you can see on target, because it's indoor. It's great for doing these controlled experiments. Times 10 mag on the Rotex, mainly because I forgot to change it to 9, but that's true mil spacing anyway, and there's not that much difference between 9 and 10 mag in all honesty. So this is the leading in one. As you can see, leading in, it was quite wild. That's only 8 shots though, but still, there's the bottom one right there, there's the top one, but you know, again, that's leading in, we discount it. So what we've gone and done, looked at our first group in here, so we've got our first and our second, measuring across, that gives us 14mm centre to centre. The second one, same sort of, again, if you know what I mean, it's, you know, we've pulled it off and we've gone, where have we gone? We haven't marked it up, basically there and there, and yes, yeah, so it's basically that one to that one, or that one to that one, all measured out 14mm. And then this one, you could call that a rogue flyer, but to be honest, when you shoot with a pre-charged rifle, you don't really pull them, if you know what I mean. So again, it was between here and sort of there, which is your 14mm. There's a slight tear there, but I've confirmed that, and that is definitely 14mm. But as you can see, positioning, they're absolutely spot on. They're shooting at the same place every single time, and doing very consistent groups. So at 25 yards, you know, you can kind of rely on this pellet to do exactly what it says it's going to do. Deviation in weight, you know, we've got a massive spread there of 0.28 grains from the lightest pellet to the heaviest pellet measured on the 32 sample. So that's where it gets this all the consistency from the height from. And then you've got the spread for the head and the total height, which is reasonably large, I think, for these. And you talk, well, not so much on the headboard, but certainly on the total height of the pellet. You've got a spread of 0.1 millimeter, which is quite large, which is probably where we're ending up with a little bit of sideways action as well, making a much bigger hole. Well, that's what I think anyway. So that's the pellet in total. As you can see down here, we've ultimately just taken this information, we put it into our Excel sheet, which just basically gives all our calculations and all our scores. At this point we say goodbye to the pellets, keep track so the little one doesn't stick them in his mouth tomorrow, and we've got our delivery scores here, or our leaderboard. So being the first one in the 2-2 range, it's going to be at the top for a short while. Scored exactly the same way as the 177, so the 2-2 has a lot more to lose basically. I could adjust all these scores, but I thought about it, I've debated about it, which is why it took me so long to get it sorted, and I'm just going to leave them the way they are, because you know this is doable, you know, and if it is doable, it really does separate out the men pellet from the boy pellet, you know. So let's have a look at it. So what do we get? It's scored a 3 for the cost, you know. It's sitting right in this bracket here, which is quite good. Quantity score, you know, again sitting in here in this bracket, so quite good, or pretty average, I would say. 3 again for the quality of the pellet, so the overall spread of the data was 0.58 millimeters when you add all the spreads together, the difference between the top and the bottom. And then the delivery, it scores a 3 again because it's coming out of 14mm average, which gives it a grand score of 81. Where that'll be in 5 or 6 pellet reviews time, we'll have to wait and see. But I would say this pellet is quite fussy in different barrels. Certainly in the RMA, it's no bother at all. I'd be quite happy to use it, to be honest, if there wasn't a better pellet at that price range. Certainly won't be using them in the Remy AR1, and I'd be happy to use them on a field target range in that Vulcan that I tried it on, but I don't have that Vulcan anymore. That's gone back to its owner, who's actually got a broken hip at the minute from playing rugby at the weekend. Sorry mate, I couldn't be there, but you know, that sort of stuff happens when you're a dad these days. You get stuck in your own house doing silly pellet reviews that people probably don't even watch. So yeah, as always, feel free to comment, don't troll. And that is your H&N .22 field target trophy review. Thanks for watching, goodbye.